From Small Gods by Terry Pratchett. Life's like a beach, and then you die.
Welcome back to the Reading Room Ruffians, your Shakespearean library podcast. We discuss books we've read, tell you about our upcoming programs, throw a few guest speakers in so you can say, "Oh, thou podcast is fat as butter," but in a good way. This is Mallory, thine damned and luxurious mountain goat. I'm joining my most delicious BFF, Ariel.
You Banbury cheese.
Stinky. And our supreme overlord, Carla.
Oh my god, more of your conversation would infect my brain.
And we are recording from our library in Jackson County, West Virginia. As usual, Zach, today's history hero, is joining us from Seattle, Washington.
Villain, I have done thy mother.
Today is our second Conspiracies and Curiosities episode, and we are discussing rare books. You want to lead us off, Zach?
All right. So, first of all, it might be a good idea to talk about what's a rare book.
Yeah.
Because it's not what you would necessarily think. It doesn't mean that it's like the only copy in the world, although that does help. You have to have some sort of scarcity. No. That's a rare book, but it's not a rare book. You know what I'm saying? Right? So, for example, there is only one copy of my notes from quantum physics when I was in school. And that's rare. There's one copy, but nobody wants that. I don't even want that. So It doesn't really classify as a rare book now, does it? However, if it was somebody like, I don't know, Da Vinci's notes, and there's only one page of them, that could be worth hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars because he actually is important to the history of the world, and my quantum physics notes just aren't, surprisingly. So you have to have both things. You have to have some sort of desire to have the book, and it has to have some sort of additional rarity with it. The rarest, most expensive books and stuff like that are almost always not actually things that were in print, although there are a few that are. These are mostly things that have been like, handwritten, handbound type of stuff before we had like mass market printing or like even like a printing press or anything like that. Before we had any of that, we had all the books were handwritten, handbound type stuff. So I think one of the first things we should go over is just like, what sort of rare books are the rarest ones in the world? Now, there's one that probably most of you guys have heard of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's called the Gutenberg Bible. You guys heard of the Gutenberg Bible?
Yeah, that was even in the day after tomorrow. That was because that's the one he saved.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was the one he saved.
Yeah.
I remember that now.
Yeah. You're not burning this one.
I like how they had to race the cold. It was coming.
I know. It was very intense.
It was so goofy. So, I'm seeing like differing numbers about how many there are. I've seen something like anywhere between 25 to 50 sort of ish copies that still exist. There were lots more printed at one point, but I don't know if I'd say lots more. There were more printed at one point. But basically, this is like one of the first printed Bibles ever. And it's huge. It's like 1,200, 1,300 pages long. And there's very, very few of them left. But when they do go for sale, there hasn't been one sold for a long time. But when they do go for sale, they can fetch something like $25 to $35 million per copy. And even like individual pages, if you don't have a complete book, individual pages will still sell for something like $50 to $100K.
What the heck? What's it like to have that much money to just buy a single page?
Yeah, for real. I mean, people use these sort of things as like investments. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that for the most part, it's going to go with inflation, and it's a good way to hide away your money. It's the same thing with like art. That's all overvalued and anyway, so.
I'd love to be able to do stuff like that.
It's also like, how would it feel to know that your work is worth that much to people?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
What do you think that they're like?
Oh my gosh. You have to be
if
dead
they're in,
for something.
well, yeah,
I would
but
be
if they're in like the afterlife and
I'd be like, look at this.
I just think I mean, if there is an afterlife, do they
Do they
like
not?
know, or do they even care? I don't know. That's kind of a fun thing to think.
You know what? Also, with people with this much money who can do stuff like that, I saw this thing where this girl was like talking about the billionaires that bought the tickets or whatever to go to the sub and whatnot, and they spent like a fortune.
It was $250,000
Yeah, okay.
piece.
She figured that up. Like that was like I don't know, so much % of their income. It's like buying 1.5 iced coffees for us.
Yeah.
Does that not make you?
It's ridiculous.
sick?
Yeah.
It's such a small fraction. But people still, I mean, even people who don't have that much money still do this stuff. But yeah, no, it can be absurd to even think about how much that stuff costs. All right, so one of the second ones here is the collected works of William Shakespeare, specifically his first folio.
I could see that being.
Yeah.
And his first folio is a collection of all of his plays. Okay, it's not like particularly low numbers as far as rare books go. When it was printed, there were about 750 prints copies made between 1622 and 1623. And it contains 36 plays. A lot of them have typographical errors in them. And these can go in like very good condition for something north of $10 million.
Wow.
I mean, it's pretty cool. This is actually something I think you can see. Like, same thing with the Gutenberg Bible. Some of them are actually in libraries and not in private collections, so you can go places like large libraries in like New York or something and actually see copies of these. I mean, obviously you can't touch them or whatever, but you can see them. Actually, that's I'm gonna side rail just for a second here. No, this is about specifically handling rare books. Okay, how do you guys think you would handle rare books? Because I was wrong.
Well, you have to have gloves and
a special room that, like, controls humidity and
a mask too. I think you have to have a mask.
Yeah, so for the ultra rare books, you do want to have the mask and the humidity control stuff, but a lot of the time, they don't wear gloves anymore.
They just let you touch them?
Well, no, they don't they let experts touch them.
Oh, you don't get to touch them.
You don't get to touch them.
I thought you were
turn
asking,
the page.
I thought you were asking like how they get handled by the experts.
No. I'm talking. Well, even by the experts. So they do it barehanded. Like they just wash their hands, make sure they're nice and clean and dry, and then they handle them with their hands.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously you don't want to have oils on there, but if you wash your hands, you're going to get most of that off anyway. But apparently, when you wear gloves and stuff, like cotton gloves and stuff like that, can leave like residue. And like if you wear rubber gloves, it can tear the pages, right? If they get caught or something like that. So it's apparently a lot safer just to wear no gloves at all, and they just directly handle them. Mm-hmm. I've seen people with like art conservators do the same sort of stuff. They'll do stuff barehanded a lot of the time, unless they're working with chemicals. And it's just like they'll touch the surface of the painting, whatever. And as long as their hands are clean, it's much better than trying to handle it with gloves or whatever, which is interesting. I wouldn't have expected that. Huh. Anyway, the next one is The Birds of America, which is...
Is it by Audubon?
It is by James Audubon. He wants to illustrate it, like all the stuff for all the birds in North America. And he did it in like 1820. So there's a ton of paintings in this thing called The Birds of North America. And he mailed them out to his subscribers, like copies of them in the early 1800s. Isn't that cool?
Somebody donated prints one time in a donation thing. We had the prints.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how he did all those paintings?
By hand.
You think?
Oh my god.
He actually
with a paintbrush.
He killed the birds.
I mean, yeah.
He killed them, set them up, and so he could get the details.
You got to, like,
You got to. Yeah. They don't have pictures.
You just gotta do it. You just gotta.
Yeah.
How are you gonna take a picture of a bird in?
You could just watch them.
The 1830s.
They had AI.
No.
What do you mean?
I mean, think about the warblers alone. They're about the size of a hummingbird, and they move like lightning fast. Yeah. But
y'all make me feel like a bad librarian because y'all are just like nodding and knowing these books and stuff like that, and I have not heard of freaking one.
As a bird watcher, you should have known.
I don't know that.
I think I know about it because of that donation that we got. And then I want to say that I saw it on, I don't know, some sort of documentary or something. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what, but anyway, that I saw something about it and was like, hey, we got some of those. So that was...
They weren't the originals, but they were cool.
Yeah.
Surprise, guys. I'm dumb.
No, you're not.
Wow.
Throw my
Just because
whatever, girl.
You've not been exposed to something. does not make you stupid.
I know. I'm just teasing.
This is for everybody out there. Just because you have not been exposed to it doesn't make you stupid. You can't know what you don't know to even ask about.
Yep.
And just so we're all clear, I don't actually think I'm dumb, and if anyone ever calls me that, I'm gonna fight you.
Me too, though.
Because I take great pride in my intelligence.
Yes.
I'm just obviously sheltered. I like what I like under my rock.
There you go. Okay, moving on. One of the rarest books that exists is called The Codex of, I think it's Leicester. Leicester. It's one of those silly British regions, so I think it's Leicester.
I heard a guest speaker in the background.
I did too.
Do you hear Kiko meowing?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's so loud right now. I don't know what she's doing. She's probably in the bathroom just meowing. She does that. I think she likes the acoustics.
She has some things to say.
She's singing.
I think
Yeah.
I've heard of that Codex of...
The Codex of Leicester. There is a grand total of one of these, and it's a recording of the scientific observations of Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, maybe I haven't. Maybe.
And it's the reason why I bring it up, aside from it being very rare, is it's owned by Bill Gates.
Of course
So-
it is.
I think people that have access to these old books and all that money should be obligated to scan those
Mm-hmm.
so that they could be shared with the world.
Yep.
So
I mean,
a
you
lot
may
of them
not have
are
the real one.
scanned.
Are they?
Yeah, a lot of them are scanned, but not like some of the like single copies are not because people just don't want to do it, I guess. But like you've got stuff like the Gutenberg Bible. I think almost every single page of that is scanned and stuff. Or like the Birds of, was it just called the
North
Birds?
America.
The Birds of America. Yeah. But yeah, no, not all of these are. Ooh. This one, though, Bill Gates does showcase it apparently in a bunch of different cities around the world, which is cool. And he bought
Well,
it
at
for
least
$30
there's
million.
that.
So nothing to him, but he did it.
Yeah.
Would you bring her in here? I can't.
Just snuggle her.
She needs-
Come here. What are you doing? You good? She's not even doing anything. She's fine. Yeah, I know. Are you going to chill? Okay. She says she's going to chill. Anyway. All right, we got a couple more here that are pretty interesting. Oh my gosh, girl. Hopefully she's going to be quiet. We got Don Quixote de la Mancha, the 1605. Oh my gosh, she's doing it again. I'll be right back. We have to cut this part
Every
out.
time he talks, she's taunting him.
Kiko. Sheesh. Okay. As I was saying, I was so rudely interrupted.
I kind of want to leave that in.
I do too.
The first Don Quixote de la Mancha, published in 1605. Are you serious?
She's taunting you, I swear.
We're just gonna go, and people are gonna have to deal with the fact that the cat's in the background.
Yeah.
I've got to go get a napkin. Hang on.
What a train wreck.
Oh my god. Look at me. She really did. It came out her nose.
Oh my god. Please hold.
Oh my Lanta.
Oh, that hurt.
What was it, coffee?
Yeah, her coffee.
Good thing I leave early today.
Oh my god.
Oh, that was bad. Okay, I need you to pose for a picture after you're done. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious.
What a day.
Okay, we ready?
She's got to get her headphones back.
Still dying.
Yeah.
Look at her. She's like almost to the floor.
I totally missed all of that. I did. It wasn't until it came out my nose.
It really did.
That was no coffee for the rest of the damn turn.
I'm not going to survive this. I guess my brain was infected.
That was so perfect. She just meowed and I lost it. God.
Here we go. Okay. I think we're good.
Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, the first Don Quixote de la Mancha, published in 1605 by Miguel de Cervantes Saavedra, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's got so many A's and stuff in it. The first edition changed hands in 1989 for $1.5 million, and it's difficult to find nowadays. But this is one, obviously, Don Quixote. Everybody knows the story, fighting windmills and stuff like that. But the first edition goes for a lot, and you can actually get the first illustrated edition of Don Quixote translated into English is available right now. So you can just get that if you want to, which is kind of fun. Obviously, it's not the OG, but it's still pretty fun. And then, let's see here. There's an Edgar Allan Poe one, very, very rare as well. It's his first published collection of poems.
Ooh.
It's published anonymously, but it's by him. It's called Tamerlane and Other Poems. Apparently it wasn't very good, but there's only 50 copies, so, I don't know if anybody's read it recently, or anybody I know has ever read it, but...
I hadn't even heard of that one.
No,
I hadn't either until I started looking into these things. And the book's publisher is printed as just a Bostonian. So presumably this is like before self-publishing, sort of self-published type stuff. So, but apparently he's anonymous on it. It is a collection of his poems, and it's not very good. But you gotta start somewhere, I guess.
It's probably still worth quite a bit of money.
Oh yeah, it probably is. It didn't actually say on this list how much it cost. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple others. Copernicus's on the revolution of the heavenly spheres, which is his idea of the heliocentric universe. Which is, sun in the middle, not the earth. So, big deal, sort of changes, stuff like that.
And you got no other trouble for that.
Yeah, a little bit. There's only 260 copies of this left in the world, and they go for about $1 to $2 million each. So, there's a bunch more rare books. We could go on and on and on and on for rare books, but there's a couple that I recently found this guy. His name is, his TikTok is called Moon's Rare Books. He's got a rare book shop. He does TikToks. They're very fun. And I was looking into his list of his top 5 scariest books that he has in his collection. Or creepiest. She's singing again. I don't know, guys. It's just going to be there. Guest speaker featuring Kiko.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Today's episode title is Kiko Has Words.
There you go. So, some of the books that he's got in here. Let me just skip to his scariest book is a little Bible and collection of writings from Charles Manson, which he has a copy of. I don't know why.
Wow.
Well, not even a copy of. He's got the OG stuff in his collection. A lot of it. His original writings and pictures and things that were sent to him in his little tiny Bible. Stuff like that. Which is pretty cool. But the other books I found more interesting. So everybody's heard of King James?
Yeah.
Of Bible fame, right? Okay. King James IV of Scotland. Most well known for his King James version of the Bible. He wrote another book called Demonology in Form of a Dialogue.
Why does that track so hard?
Yeah, exactly. So this is a book on demonology, right, that he wrote back in 1597, which is prior to the first King James version of the Bible. And it's got 3 different books in it. The first book was talking about specifically magic, so things like various magical arts, use of charm circles and conjurations, astrology, the devil's contract with man, comparisons of the miracles of God and the devil, etc., etc. Book 2 talks about sorcery and witchcraft, so the difference between sorcery and witchcraft, biblical proof, and imagination versus myth, stuff about Satan, the appearance of devils, the divisions of witch actions, and then methods of transportation and the illusions of Satan. And then book 3 is the conclusion. It talks about a bunch of different stuff. But basically, he talks about how witches and demons and devils and Satan and all this stuff intertwines and what you're supposed to do sort of to deal with them or recognize them, etc., etc. It's a very interesting little thing. You can actually, I think, find a copy of this online, like a whole PDF of everything in it, which is kind of interesting.
That does sound pretty interesting. So was he like anti-magic?
Oh yeah, no, I mean he was.
I feel like but I just
as
wanted
a
to make
very
sure
holy man, you know.
I mean, I was just making sure because you never know. Maybe he had a change of heart and then he became like the holiest. But just wondering there.
One of the weird things is that maybe this isn't weird. Maybe this is like well known, or lots of people think this. He says that demons are under the direct supervision of God and are unable to act without God's permission.
I've heard stuff like that before.
I have heard that before. Like, it seems like there's some sort of rules they have to follow and stuff. But he's using the demonic forces as, quote-unquote, rods of correction when men stray from his will. Seems like to go against some of the other teachings, but whatever.
And that's pretty intense.
That is pretty
I
intense.
think there's that's probably the reason that a lot of these things have to ask permission to enter your house.
Oh, yeah.
You have to invite them in. They can't just show up.
That makes sense.
I mean, you hear that with vampires and other things. It's like you have to invite them in.
I never would have put that together. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the second season of, what is that show called? By Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett?
Oh,
Good Omens.
Good Omens, yes. The second season of that, they talk about that a lot. That
I was going to say, don't you dare give me a spoiler, because I haven't gotten to watch it yet.
Either. I haven't even finished the first series. You need to watch it.
It's very good. The second season is very good. And the third season is apparently
it's Michael Sheen and David Tennant. Of course it's very good.
I know, right?
And it's
speaking of Michael
based
Sheen,
off of Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman.
Exactly. Speaking of Michael Sheen, by the way, I just watched all of the Twilight movies over the last few days because Chantel and I are going to Forks this weekend. And
oh, Lord.
My God, those are awful, awful movies.
Tell Chantel she needs to buy me a souvenir.
Will do.
Make sure she gets a rat sticker, too, to put on it.
No, rat sticker.
Yeah. Apparently that's a thing.
Okay. But I had to find out where all the locations were to go. Anyway, so that was a very interesting book. I hadn't heard of that one before. The next one is one that I've heard of, but I didn't know what the text was about. It's called The Malleus Maleficarum.
Actually, I've heard that one.
Yeah.
I don't. That one.
Finally.
So his copy, he had a couple copies. One of them was beautifully bound. But this is translated as The Hammer of Witches. And it's basically the best known treatise about witchcraft and basically witches. It was used all over the place for 200 years to help justify the Salem witch trials, for example, or just hunting witches in general and all of that stuff. So
I had heard the title, The Hammer of Witches. It's like how to kill them, how to torture them, how to...
Exactly.
I'm actually getting ready to take a class on witches for college, so that might be mentioned in there.
I figure it will.
So it's got a few different parts in here. It's got the justification, which talks about how prevalent sorcery is, and it's a method of Satan's final assault. Next you have the Papal Bull, which is... Oh my gosh, that's Latin. I'm skipping it.
I was going to say, that's the... That would have to do with the Vatican, I would guess.
Yeah, it's basically where Pope Innocent VIII acknowledges that sorcerers are real and harmful through their involvement in the acts of Satan. Also, Pope Innocent. What a name.
Is he the one that had a daughter?
I have no idea.
One of them had a daughter and was there on the wedding night to make sure that things were consummated.
That's an actual thing, apparently. They used to watch.
Yeah, to make sure.
That's the weirdest crap.
Yeah.
You don't want that?
No pressure.
Messed up.
Yeah, he had 7 illegitimate children.
I was thinking.
Before he entered the clergy. And he recognized 2 of them, apparently. So that's interesting. There's a bunch of other parts, but it talks about how to recognize witches, how to get confessions out of them, all that sort of stuff, basically. And it was used a ton. Like I said, in the Salem witch trials is probably the most famous use of it, but for burning witches, etc. It's not great. It's not a great book. I mean, I think it'd be cool to read, but it's not a great book. It's got sections on demonology as well, obviously. Yeah, so it was really widespread initially in modern Germany, which is interesting to me because I was not aware that it was originally in Germany, or at least used a bunch in Germany. Anyway, that's an interesting thing. And then we've got the Secretum Secretorum.
That's hilarious.
I love it.
I know. Which
Super
is
secret.
Translated, I bet you guys can't guess what it is. Secret Book of Secrets.
It's for international super spots.
So, we're not sure about the original book, but the Arabic edition says that it's a translation from Greek by 9th century scholar Abu Yahan ibn al-Batrik.
You
the name?
butchered that.
Who died in... no, I didn't. I know it perfectly. He died in 806 Common Era. So
I think that's the original secret society manual.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, right? They say it's a treatise written by Aristotle to Alexander during his conquest of the Archimedean Persia.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Archimedean Persia? I've never heard of this. It's a topic about ethical questions that face the ruler, to astrology, to the medical and magical properties of plants, gems, and numbers, to account of a unified science that is accessible only to a scholar with a proper moral and intellectual background.
I want to see this book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. The writing looks really interesting. You'd obviously need a translated version, but
it needs translated and scanned to a PDF. This is what somebody needs to get on there.
I feel like there is a copy. I wouldn't say when I was looking this up, I saw that you could get a PDF of it, but it was one of the most widely read texts of the High Middle Ages, maybe even the most read. And yeah, it's just a very interesting little book that's in there, and it's like, I mean, Secret Book of Secrets. What a name, right?
Yeah.
What a name.
But I mean, Alexander the Great, you were named after him.
Yep, middle name.
Yep.
There you go. Fun facts about Zach.
Yeah.
Didn't know you were getting that along with
No.
discussions of rare books.
But I mean, I think Alexander was a pretty interesting character.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like conquered places, but there was more behind him than some of them.
Sure. I mean, anybody who just goes around conquering places is not a great person, but I get you.
True, but I mean, he wasn't. There was more to it than that, because part of the reason he conquered some of those lands is because his dad was so mean to him when he was growing up, and he, I don't know, threw salt or something on the ground or something like that. And Alexander did.
Yeah.
And his dad made him pick up every single grain. And so when you own the land of spices, then you can, waste this stuff, basically. So he conquered the land and made a point to dump it out.
Wow.
And you named Zach after
But he did good things too. I mean, that's cool.
That's the way to hold a grudge right there. I should be doing that more.
You need to be up your petty game.
Exactly. Oh yeah, no, I just conquered most of the known world so that I could spill some spices on the ground because
there you
F
go.
you, Dad.
I don't
My
think
daddy was mean to me.
He was. Philip of Macedonia was a pretty.
I'm not saying that he wasn't.
He was like
I'm just
something else.
saying, like,
he wasn't as bad as his dad.
Fair. So those are basically most of the things. I mean, we could talk about more rare books and stuff like that, but I don't know.
It's like this is about a rare book. It was, but I can't remember the title. I think they did tell it. But this guy found this book and he read it, and it really changed the way he looked at things in his life. And instead of like offering to help people with this or like to share it, he paid somebody to hunt up every copy that was still available. And he had run across it like for a couple bucks at a used bookstore or something like that. Anyway, bought them all up and either kept them all or destroyed some of them or whatever, so that no one else could get it. So only that information could come from him, and then he could charge people. I thought that was.
That
I
sounds
hate people.
It's like that was so wrong.
What a good investment, though.
I don't know, because I don't know how many he actually sold. It made me mad.
Yeah.
I was like, that is a piece of work.
Yeah, no, it is kind of BS, but
yeah.
I am not surprised that somebody would try to do that.
No, me either.
Okay, so if you guys could have a rare book, what would you try to get?
I think I want that secret.
the secret book of secrets.
Secret Book of Secrets, yeah.
That's the one I want to read. Well, I mean, I was interested in that era of history anyway, so that one.
I think I want the witch one.
That one would be fun, but also for me, this is, again, nerd me, like first editions of Jane Austen's writing. That would be so much fun.
I would also like Shakespeare's.
We have that one that was donated, that little teeny pretty little book,
Mm-hmm.
over 100 years old.
Yeah.
It was like 1893 or something, like the complete works of Shakespeare. It's pretty cool.
Like, I don't know. I like Shakespeare. He's a weirdo.
He was, yes.
Never.
What about you?
I don't know. It's a tough thing. Like, I would like lots of first editions of specific sorts of books or special hardback versions of them. Something that's really pretty. I really like very prettily bound books, and there's a bunch of very rare books that are like that. But also, like the OG Winnie the Pooh book, or like
Raffi and the Honky Beast.
Oh.
That's what I want. Oh my gosh, that's it. That's what I need.
there's Beatrix Potter. You can get like some of those. I'd like all the first editions of a lot of the old sci-fi and fantasy books. That'd be great. Specifically if you can find hardbacks. Oh, the one I think I want the most, though, there's a really rare copy of The Hobbit, first edition, American binding, right? It has this really pretty book jacket. It's like $150,000, though, if you can find
I
one.
want signed copies of
Or sorry,
The
it's
Three Men.
$50,000, but A signed copy of the
Yeah.
We Free Men. You can probably find that.
Those are like $500.
Oh, they are?
That'd be a good one to have.
Yeah, they're expensive. To get anything signed by Terry Pratchett is expensive because
He can't
He
sign
just
anymore.
didn't sign
not
stuff?
there.
Well, he can't sign anymore, so there's like a limited amount out there, whatever.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's also fair. I bet you he just also didn't sign stuff as much because that's a more modern thing that people sign lots of books.
Yeah.
Like you'll see like Sanderson or whatever, he'll be doing his podcast. I can't remember what it's called, something about writing. Anyway, and during that, he just will constantly sign pages that are put into the books. And he just does that the whole podcast.
But I actually looked up Terry Pratchett's books, signed copies of them to see because I was trying to give Michael ideas of gifts for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, if you're willing to spend this much money, I would love this.
Oh, there was one other one that I wanted to go over, one other book. There's an OG copy of, there's only 7, I think, in print in the world, and it's Tales of Beetle the Bard.
Oh, yeah.
There were only 7 of the first edition ones ever made. I think they're handmade, and obviously written by J.K. Rowling, and given out, I think she donated 6 of them and gave one to somebody else. But that'd be a cool one to have. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big fan of J.K. Rowling anymore, but that would be a dope book to have.
True.
You know, one of the OG ones, it's like only 7 copies. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you can get a copy now, but not the handmade ones.
Yeah. We need to have a program on rebinding books.
I
That
want to
would be
learn
fun.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, how to bind books would be. I'd like to get a bunch of like older copies of books to like practice on. Obviously, first just rebind whatever books because there's a lot of old books that nobody cares about. I've got
Yeah.
a bunch, right now. That way, I can get good and then take like not rare versions of books I have that I like the book, but I don't like the cover, or like old paperbacks that are awful.
Also,
I mean, you don't want to like rebind one of the mass market paperbacks because they've got the acid paper, right? They just die. But some of the older ones that are like, trade paperbacks, I just want a hardback for, but they never printed a hardback, stuff like that.
I want to also learn how to paint pages.
That is so cool.
I have watched so many people where they press them so tight, and then they just paint. And then some people even do it where you like turn it, like you flip the pages and it's one picture.
And you turn
and if you do it the other way, it's a different picture.
How would you do that?
How? I don't know.
I don't understand
I think what they do in those is they, like, when they squish them, I want to say I saw this happen once, they squish them and then they
At
tilt
an
it one
angle?
way. Yeah, they squish them at an angle and they squish them the other angle.
It's
and
amazing.
do it both
I've
ways.
seen them do it.
It's crazy.
You would think that would mess the paint would like
Mess up the page.
somehow overlap and make it not look good. But I've seen people even do it where it's like it's just sitting. It's one picture, and then they do the pages either way, and it's like 3 separate pictures.
I have no idea how they would do that. That's wild.
Freaking magic! I don't know. It's the coolest thing in the world, though. I'd like to learn though.
Mm-hmm.
That
It would be
I've
fun.
watched people bind books, like rebind books and stuff like that. Because there was somebody who was rebinding Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm. I think I saw that with the leather.
Yeah,
Did it have the
scariest-
backlighting?
I think it did. Yeah.
Those are so cool.
I mean, it would have to be a book that wasn't like the one you really liked, I guess,
Yeah.
because you have to cut the cover off, and
Yeah.
that's a scary part.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, just murdered it. Yeah.
Well, that's why you had to like practice on
Practice
something
on-
first,
yeah.
and then once you get good enough, get books that are not rare. Definitely
Yeah.
do this
Yeah.
book.
Just something you really like, a new
Exactly.
copy of it, and bind it really nice.
Yeah. Like get one of those books where they put the movie.
Oh my
cover.
god.
Oh,
The
yes.
movie cover,
Yeah.
or they put the non-removable, like it looks like a sticker, but it's not a sticker
Yeah.
on the cover.
Those are the devil.
Those are the worst. That should be illegal.
It really should be.
I
Like,
don't know.
removable stickers are a thing.
Yeah.
Why would you not put them on a book like that? What? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like all the copies of the 3 Body Problem now all have the Netflix thing on them. I think it's Netflix. Whatever it is. Then
Is
you
that
can't
on
get a copy with
Netflix?
that. Not yet. It's coming out next year.
Okay.
But they're
Okay.
saying going to Netflix or whatever on it. But yeah, no, bookbinding, super cool. Would want to get into that. Sounds like a fun hobby that would waste a bunch of time and money, and I would love it.
It's just like in You. That's what Joe Goldberg does.
Yeah. I liked him. He was crazy, but man, I liked him.
Oh my god.
I did. Tells you
Katrina.
all you need to know about me.
Katrina watched the show and she says that she loves Joe. I'm like, well, Book Joe and Show Joe are not the same.
No.
Like,
See, yeah, I read
Show
the book.
Joe, yeah.
And through the entire book, I'm like, I know he's psycho. I know that this man murders people. But also, he's so devoted.
Okay, yeah, no, that's Katrina. She's like, he's really romantic. And I'm like, oh yeah, the murder is great.
I mean, some people just need killing.
Some people do, but like the people he loves, and that's where I've got to draw the line. That's just where that's got to go. Oh yeah, but yeah. She was like, "What? I can't believe that," and I was like, "No, Book Joe, you are like, this is wild. Yeah. How is he getting away?" But see,
I only read the first one. I didn't read any more.
I didn't either. I didn't either. And so it's just like it gets progressively. I was just like, I know this is fiction, but honestly, I can see stuff like this happening. And then it's like how he had no redeeming qualities in the show, or no, in the book. In the show, so redeeming. Everybody's like in love with him.
I didn't mind him in the book, obviously.
I didn't like mind him. It was like I oddly found myself rooting for him, but I was like, no, stop it. Like, stop what you're doing, you weirdo. Like, talking to myself.
Yeah, I didn't stop myself.
You guys are talking about you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed the first part.
Oh, yeah.
The weirdest thing about that is, have you ever seen the recreations of it where they mute out his inner monologue, and it's just so awkward watching him stand there and think all this stuff?
Yeah.
I have not.
Well, they said it's really weird, like, shooting with him because he has to, like, think this stuff, and they're just standing there waiting for him to, like, say stuff. Like, how, I don't know. That is.
I mean, I guess he has to say the lines in his head, right? And then he just time how long that is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Drew Barrymore loves Joe, right? And he puts her in a box, like how he has the box of, where rare books and stuff are in that bookstore.
Yeah.
They're on a show. He ends up like blindfolding her and putting her in there because she's so excited to meet this guy. And then she's like, "Hi, you put me in a box?" And she's like so excited about it. He's like, "You're not supposed to be happy about this." She's like, oh yeah, that's her. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, Penn Badgley is just like mind blown. He's like, this is literally a murderer, everybody. He kills the people he's in love with. Like, what is appealing about this? And they're all just like, we don't care, Penn. We love you.
We are all messed up.
I was very mad whenever they picked him as Joe.
He is gorgeous,
though. It fits, but it's like, it's gotta be him though. Dang.
Yep. Have you seen where he's reading Google searches about Joe to Joe?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's funny. Anyways, now that we're on that tangent.
Sorry with that tangent.
No worries.
Yeah, Joe does book binding. So
he works in a bookstore.
That's what took me there.
That is right. He does work at a bookstore. So this is relevant to the conversation. Totally.
It is, yeah. He works at the bookstore. He binds the books, the rare books.
For this conversation.
Yeah.
All right, so is there anything else that we wanted to discuss regarding rare books or other things, since we are at something like 43 minutes, and about 2 minutes of that was Kiko yelling?
And me spitting coffee out.
And you spitting coffee out your nose?
No, I think I'm good.
I'm good, yeah.
Yep, sounds good to me.
I got nothing.
Okay. Our next episode, we are going to do Zach's deep dive book, In the Lives of Puppets by T.J. Klune, followed by a general book chat. And guess what? There's no more smut in the forecast. I've been cured.
But I've been considering reading some.
I take that as a challenge. I take that as a challenge.
I literally sent a text the other day. I was like, I need a good fictional man to simp over.
It's contagious. I'm not sorry. After that, we will be reading Zach's nonfiction pick, or discussing Zach's nonfiction pick, A Life with Footnotes by Rob Wilkins, which is about Terry Pratchett. Exciting. And then we will have Chase Robertson on, finally. And if you haven't checked out his poetry, The Positive Side of Negative Thoughts and Casualties of Life and Love, why? It's so good, and we can't wait to talk with him about his first draft of the book that we got to sneak peek.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, it was exciting. So then, followed by that, we will do one more book chat. And thank you for listening on another episode of Reading Room Ruffians. You can find our Facebook group by searching Reading Room Ruffians Podcast, which is linked to our library's Facebook page at facebook.com/Jackson County Library WV. You can and should follow us on TikTok and Instagram at WVJCO Library and give our podcast Goodreads page a gander, which we have linked in our episode description along with our personal Goodreads pages. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Only the best libraries have librarians who won't shush you or tell you, thine face is not worth sunburning.
Oh, burn.